Our recording has started. Tonight is Tuesday night, July 12th, 2022. I'm Glenda Carlin, and this is our weekly A Course of Miracles meeting. Thank you for Holy Son of God Francis, Holy Son of God Keith, Holy Son of God Edward, Holy Son of God Leon, Holy Son of God Lynn, Holy Son of God Nance, Holy Son of God Angela, Holy Son of God Kareen, Holy Son of God Julia, that you could join us live here tonight. I much appreciate it, very much. And for those that can't come live because life happens, that's why I record and post on YouTube so you can view this later. And if you want to be on my email list to receive the email that week of what I'm going to talk about, just private message me on Facebook. It's Glenda Carlin Bussick, B-U-S-I-C-K. Although now my husband's passed, I go by my maiden name, Glenda Carlin. Here comes Debbie in. I'll send you that email. And then if you want that advance forgiveness document, I'll email that as well, besides the Great Ray Spark of Light document too. I'm going to wait and accept Debbie and see if she's muted. Welcome, Holy Son of God, Debbie. Thank you, honey, for joining us. Here comes Siobhan from Ireland. She emailed me. Ha! It's midnight her time. Bless her heart. Oh, boy. Here comes in Barbara from Michigan. Hi, Siobhan. Hi. Welcome. Holy Son of God, Siobhan. And then here comes in Barbara from Michigan. Oops. No, I'm wanting to wait. Maybe I need to. Barbara, can you please mute yourself? For some reason, I can't mute you. Okay. Now, tonight, the topic, the name for this talk is Gravity Makes Things Seem Permanent. When for me, images and forms are all floating free on the ClearLight God Mind. You call it the Tao living force, the living force. Now, why this came up was after the dog bite, which was July 1st, and everything's doing well, by the way. I got my stitches out Saturday. I continue to bathe it with moist heat and took an antibiotic twice a day for 10 days. I did what my doctor said. Put an antibiotic salve on it. I mean, I'm not foolish. While I'm practicing the Course and Buddhist truths. We do a combination. You do whatever you want to do. I'm just explaining. I take vitamins, go to my wellness visit. I call it the middle way. I'm not off in the ditch on either side. Totally spirituality or totally not. It's a combination. But anyway, I was sitting in my chair in the living room. It was July 10th. I was sitting in my chair in my living room, and I was looking in my living room, and there's my TV, the coffee table, my chair, there's me. Then I'm thinking about the microwave that's there in the kitchen. And my awareness, or maybe my Christ Buddha self, is talking to me about that stuff sure as hell looks permanent. It's close. It's right there in the room with me. And it's not coming and going. See, can't mute Barbara, but Barbara, you're doing fine. You're not, no big noise in your room. Now, why this came up is because, see, I meditate with this Dzogchen LA group, Dzogchen group out of LA every day. And they practice what's called sky gazing. And it's been so transformative for me in that, see, I meditate generally with my eyes open. A lot of them do them with their eyes open. But the purpose is to look out at like the sky and see clouds, and you let the clouds come and go, and you let birds come and go, and then you see the wind moving through things. You just let this stuff come and go. You're looking out your window, or if my eyes are closed and there's thoughts, I'm just letting those thoughts come and go. Well, that's fine and dandy when you're meditating about the thoughts in your mind, right? You can let them go because they're coming and going. Thoughts, you know, you're sitting in your chair, your feelings, you recognize that you're more quiet in one moment, or ego's starting to tell you something about, are you going for a walk tomorrow? Or it's just dumb stuff. Thoughts just show up. But see, they teach us that the big deal is to let them come and go. And they teach that there's this luminous light here now. And that's what Jesus teaches. There's the ClearLight God Mind here now. And what's happened, the egoic mind has projected thoughts, images from the unconscious mind. And because it's unconscious, we don't know anything about it. That's the collective egoic unconscious mind is projecting the world, all these images, all these figures. And we each have our own egoic script or karma within all that. So Jesus teaches this, right? And by practicing advanced forgiveness, turning our day over to the Holy Spirit, meditating and practicing other truths, we're trying to undo our egoic culture that we were brought up with and believe we're a body. We are these thoughts. We're thinking these thoughts, but we're not thinking these thoughts. They're not our thoughts. Jesus teaches that. Well, anyway, the great thing is that allows for peace and calmness and meditation. And as a result, I think besides the workshops I did with we do with the Lama Surya Das and the books I read from him, but also these others, Buddhist teachers that are thousands of years old that parallel the course, but I just get it different because it's written a little different. And then I'll just sit with it and, you know, you assimilate it. But the thing is, that's thoughts coming and going in the mind. And when you're meditating and you look out, you see the breeze or the wind, you go, oh yeah, that's coming and going. The clouds are coming and going. But I realized it's different when we have our immediate families, our house, our car, whatever is your furniture in your house, the whole thing, your loved ones, your family, your friends, etc. That stuff looks permanent because you open your eyes, like I'm looking at my desk, same laptop, same lights, same glass. So I ask Holy Spirit, I want to see the false world like it really is. Show me. Because I know these aren't permanent images. And then that's when thoughts, insights, where I kind of put together what's happening in my mind. And so I want to share it with you all, is that when I meditate and go to the light, a great ray light, or we want to call it the arc of light or cord of light in my mind, and rest in that light, meaning just relax, just totally relax, surrender, and let thoughts come and go, but then actually have union and rest in that light. There's a peace beyond words, but more than that, my body feels, Glenda's body form feels buoyant. I'm not kidding you. Half of it will lift up off the bed. Now, I don't think my mind's purified enough that I could levitate, but I truly believe people can levitate because we're not bodies. Jesus teaches us that we're spirits, we're immortal spirit. So I feel buoyant. And then when I'm meditating, I feel like my body is floating. I'm not kidding you, floating. And then in my mind, I think over this last year, different talks, I talked to you about what I've seen in my mind, the visions that Holy Spirit's put in there, then I see the vast solar system, the stars, all kind of stars and the Milky Way, all these things that when you look out at night, you see them out there. But we know these are projections from within. So I found some quotes I want to show you. We're going to quote from that. But the thing is, if you think about the universe, the stars, and they've proven, the scientists have proven, if we look at a star, that thing will move. It moves to the thought that people have. These things are not stable. They change. They come and go. They're moving. The solar, the earth, what rotates, it does its thing. This stuff is moving in space. And what vision came to my mind is like a space movie, where there's no gravity. You see the astronauts out there tethered. If they didn't tether them, they just float off. There's no gravity. They throw an orange or an apple. There's no gravity. That sucker's floating. It's floating. Well, in reality, for me, and then when I looked here in the Course, Jesus is talking about projections. We're projecting these images out of our mind, the egoic mind. But I ran on to this. This is so, well, first, let me do the two things that weren't in the lesson tonight, that I was sitting in my chair thinking about, asking Holy Spirit to help me, guide me what to do or say tonight. Don't you know, the word trick came to mind, trick, because in the Course, twice, I didn't know it till I looked up the word trick. It's in there twice in that whole big book. And here's what Jesus says, because all this is a trick, guys. This all is a trick, a sleight of hand, Jesus calls it. But because this stuff is projected out there, we think it's real. And he actually says that it's because it's projected, for it is the projection that gives the nothing, which is in quotes, all the meaning that it holds. Now I'm going to read that whole thing. This is in chapter 20, section 8, paragraph 9. Only two purposes are possible, and one is sin and the other holiness. Nothing is in between, and which you choose determines what you see. And I wrote, do you see spirit or flesh? And that's what Jesus says about advanced forgiveness. We look past the body, the flesh, to see the spirit that's there. He keeps hammering us on looking past the form to the spirit that's here. For what you see is merely how you elect to meet your goal. See, I ask Holy Spirit, I want to see the false world, because by seeing the false world, then I choose again and I look at the clear light of God mind right there in my living room. I look past that TV. I see my TV floating. I see my coffee table floating, and it's floating. And in the clear light of the God mind, my microwave, everything, my house, it's like being in a space movie, and you see the astronaut floating around untethered. He's off. Everything be gone. But anyway, well, how do you elect to see? Hallucinations serve to meet the goal of madness. Now, see what he's talking about here is hallucinations, and that's when it's like being on an LSD trip. The mind makes up more images, and we open our eyes and we look like they're out there. Well, that's what we're doing in day-to-day life. But then he says, hallucinations serve to meet the goal of madness. They are the means by which the outside world, projected from within. Now, don't you love those three words? Projected from within, adjusts to sin and seems to witness to its reality. It still is true that nothing is without. But see, it's just projected out there, but we think. Yet upon nothing are all projections made. Ooh. Nothing. See, there's nothing out here. There is nothing out here. Now, we never put our body in harm's way. We're not driving our car in through a traffic light. We're obeying the law. But the point is, yet upon nothing are all projections made. There's no reality to them. For it is the projection that gives the nothing all the meaning that it holds. And that really hit home to me. because that TV is a projection in my living room. This laptop's a projection in the living room. But what's it projected on? What did the mind project all these images on? Well, it projected it on the God mind, our clear God mind. That's us, our Christ Buddha mind. That's one with God mind. And the Dzogchen Buddhist people teach that this luminosity, this power, this, they don't call it God, but the Lama Surya Das will call it God once in a while, or the Tao, the living force. He calls it the Tao, the origin of all things. It's this luminous, clear light God mind. We've used the power of that and falsely used that power and approved that ego projected these images, these figures. And then Jesus says, oh, wait, here's another one I found. This is workbook P1, part 1, number 121 lesson. The unforgiving mind sees no mistakes, but only sins. It looks upon the world with sightless eyes and shrieks as it beholds its own projections rising to attack its miserable parody of life. Duh. Yuck. That's bad. I mean, he's yuck. Like, he talks it straight, doesn't he? He doesn't pull any punches. This is Jesus. So then in lesson 158, here's where he talks about, see if I got it in the thing might have, oh, here it is. Lesson 158, paragraph 4. Time is a trick, a sleight of hand, a vast illusion in which figures come and go as if by magic. Figures come and go as if by magic. And then he tells us, let's see if I can find this. This is chapter 4, section 4. Jesus says, your mind is filled with schemes to save the face of your ego, and you do not seek the face of Christ. See, that's the clear light. So we just fake it while we make it. You look past the form to the spirit or the Christ that's there, that's your brother, the reality of your brother. The glass in which the ego seeks to see its face is dark indeed. How can it maintain the trick of its existence except with mirrors? From where you look to find yourself is up to you. So he's saying, look, how can that ego maintain itself except with the trick of mirrors? Now think back about the circus or the magic acts. The magician will have his hand. Well, I'm setting my book on my mouse and it's making noise. The musician will go behind your ear and find a coin like by magic. It's nothing in my hand, but I went and found it. Well, that's the ego. That's the ego mind. It's by magic these thoughts get, but with mirrors. So picture, it's the ego mind is like holding a mirror on all our thoughts that are inside our mind, right? A mirror. But the mirror turns and we just gets all projected right out in front of us, a big ass world, a universe of separation from God. It's a big mirror trick. So just if you want, think about, you're holding a mirror on your mind, and whatever your mind's thinking, that's what's going to get projected out there. That's what you're going to think about or see, unless you choose again by your mood. But it's a mirror trick. It is all a smoke and mirror trick. There's nothing out there. It's all made up, which you all know. But only reason I'm bringing this up is we want to practice on these things that seem permanent so that you have less suffering, less unhappiness, because you understand and know the reality and can practice during the day looking at your TV and thinking about, well, really, it's a projection that's floating on ClearLight God Mind. It looks permanent, but that's a trick. It's just floating there, and I can look past it to the Spirit of God. And you just keep practicing these thoughts going past the item to the light that's there. And this is, he continues to say, I have said that you cannot change your mind by changing your behavior. But I've also said, and many times, that you can change your mind. See, of course, behavior, that's not the crux of the problem. Because people want to change their behavior, then it goes back to their old root default, whatever angry self they have or whatever egoic self they've got. But Jesus wants you to undo this egoic mind, but change your mind. When your mood tells you that you have chosen wrongly, and this is so whenever you are not joyous, then no, this need not be. In every case, you have thought wrongly about some brother God created and are perceiving images your ego makes in a darkened glass. There's another way he's saying it. Images that he's made. That darkened glass just means the universe. Is all the universe is the world. Think honestly what you have thought that God would not have thought, and what you have not thought that God would have you think. Search sincerely for what you have done and left undone accordingly, and then change your mind to think with God's. This may seem hard to do, but it's much easier than trying to think against it. Your mind is one with God's. Denying this and thinking otherwise has held your ego together, but has literally split your mind. As a loving brother, Jesus is talking here to us, I am deeply concerned with your mind. It's Jesus. He's deeply concerned with our minds and urge us to follow my example as you look at yourself and at your brother and see in him both the glorious creations of a glorious Father. And see, that comes back to when you see as you see your brother, you see yourself. Now, I think of my brother, I think of myself. And it comes back to the responsibility quote that's in the course in chapter 21, section 2, paragraph 2. I am responsible for what I see. So what do you want to see? You want to see the clear light of God? Or do you want to see these false images? You just look past them. I choose the feeling. I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience. That's why Jesus says you use your mood and your feeling. Choose again. I choose the feelings I experience and I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked. And see, when I posted on Facebook to several, of course, Miracle groups, I had a few people that came right out and said, there's no such thing as reincarnation, no such thing as karma. Now, remember, last week I read from the course, and Jesus is very diplomatic and says any teacher of God doesn't deny either side of that. If a course student doesn't believe in reincarnation, I don't blast them for it. No, if people believe in it, I don't blast them either. You know, I'm just trying to gather or give both some sides of the coin and ask people to reconsider, because why does Jesus talk about that there's a future or the script has been written? Or, I mean, there's just, anyway. So I would just say I politely disagree, because for every action, there's a reaction. And how I think, feel, like Jesus says here, I'm responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience, and I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for. Now, how could you ask for all that stuff that's going to happen to you in this whole life? Well, it's part of this egoic script that Jesus says is already written, that's playing out. We're mentally reviewing what's already gone past. But we've all are at the finish line, but I don't know if it's 1,000 years from now that we all wake up, a million years, I don't know. Each of us are just responsible for our own awakening process. And then Lama Surya says in a book, Make Me One with Everything, in his equanimity mantra, everyone is responsible for creating their own karma and experience. Their happiness and suffering doesn't depend on me. My happiness and suffering doesn't depend on them. I accept them as they are and bless and release them from all expectations. See, now what he's talking about here is codependency. Our loved ones, our friends, our family, we love them, And before we know it, I'm telling somebody, I'm unhappy because you did this. I'm a victim of the world I see. Now, does it mean we can't set boundaries and talk to our family and friends and set guidelines for living under the same roof, or practicing forgiveness on a person but not inviting them for Thanksgiving? That's perfectly fine and dandy. But we still practice forgiveness because we want to think of them as spirit. But we're not responsible for their happiness and suffering, and they're not responsible for ours. We are. We take responsibility for our feelings. And so I did. So when the dog bit me, I'm telling you, immediately I knew it was my karma playing payback time. It was not in this lifetime. I've always loved dogs and animals, but evidently in many lifetimes, when I was not loving and caring and kind, was mean to some animals. I just know that much. And so then I practice forgiveness on the dog, the family, because you can bet that dog, that family has been in my circle of people before. Anybody that's rotating in your circle of family and friends, you've been lifetime after lifetime with them, and you're working out the karma with them. Can you see them as spirit, as love, as light? Or are you fighting with them and continuing to argue with them and throwing them under the bus or throwing them out of your heart? We can still love somebody, but yet not invite them to Thanksgiving dinner. Now, here's another quote I thought was pretty interesting that Lama Surya Das quoted on that Sunday meditation he does every Sunday. It was some story. They say Buddha, it got written down. Okay. I apologize if I get this wrong, but it was about a snake. And the snake came back to Buddha, complaining to Buddha, you told me to not bite the children. Now they're over there with sticks and rocks and they're beating me. They're attacking me. And Buddha said to the snake, well, I didn't tell you not to hiss. Now, that's what I'm talking about ground rules, boundaries. We're not doormats psychologically or physically to anybody. We can talk out things in a polite, you know what I'm talking about, factual way. And from your Christ Buddha nature, like now this family that own the dog, I can tell we're going to become friends, because they'll text me, do I want to have some dinner? They bring me over some dinner. They're checking, see how I'm doing. And they're being more responsible. They're keeping their gate closed at their house so the dog can't get out. But they're just being caring people, considerate people. And I had talked with them, the woman who has a couple of times outside when she would be at the mailbox. So she had told me that it was me and another neighbor they knew of, and wouldn't you know that their dog bit me, because she was wanting to enjoy the relationship she was having with me. Well, so what's going to happen here? Now, look, years ago, this would not have been how this story played out. I would have been so upset when the accident happened, angry. Well, you know, you can only imagine. And then, you know, relatives or people say, oh, you have to sue him for the dog bite. And who knows? I probably would have, because I've still got some neighbors that said, oh, yeah. I go, no, no, no. I'm not a litigious person. They're going to compensate me. They've told me for any medical bills I have that are associated with this. We're working this out in the illusion and developing a friendship as it goes along. But now when I get at, though, this is my karma. Now, so the other thing that I've learned in these Dzogchen meetings, it says it's not the cards you're dealt, but how you play the hand, right? So let's say people don't believe in karma. It doesn't matter to me. I just know what I'm trying to do. But if you don't believe in karma, you know that stuff is just showing up in front of your face, right? Whatever's showing up, whether it's good or bad, that's the cards you're being dealt. Now, how are you going to play them? So that's why we're practicing the truths in the Course, and I'm practicing this Dzogchen Buddhism, because I'm undoing this egoic part of myself, which would play the cards in a very hard, mean fashion. Out for me, nobody else, I don't care. You know, that's me, ego. Me, myself, and I, we're over here out for me. So it's not the cards you're dealt, but how you play the hand. So do we want to play the hand by being kind, considerate, and loving, and looking past their form to the spirit that they are? Because when you do that, you're doing the highest good you can do for them and you. Because as you think of your brother, you think of yourself. So you're thinking of them as spirit, and you don't have to believe it. You know, we talk about that. I talk about faking it while you undo it. Then I learned from that Lama Surya Das, he says, faking it while you make it. Because as we fake it, some of these rote truths that we keep chanting or praying or saying, they become seeds like that germinate, like seeds that are underground in the dark. Those seeds germinate and they come and we actually have an experience of the truths that we're practicing, that somebody's spirit, or you have a feeling they are love, you are love. Well, you get the point. How do you play the hand? How do you want to play it? Mean, kind, or considerate? It's up to you. Now, there were some beautiful quotes that so when I ask Holy Spirit that question, how can I stabilize the view that all this stuff is impermanent? The TV, my microwave, my living room furniture, my house, my car, my sisters, my family, my friends, that seem to be permanent. They show up right here in front of my face over and over and over again and sure look permanent. You touch them and they sure feel permanent. That's just part of the projection, part of the trick, the sleight of hand. Now, we've never heard them because they would bleed, because we've got this illusion down. But so what happened then, I read a post from that Lama. And here's the post that he wrote. This is after I was asking Holy Spirit, you got to help me. How do I see all this, things that are close to me? I can get the clouds moving, coming, going in the sky. The cars on the street are coming and going. That people in the grocery store, they're coming and going. Politicians are coming and going. But what about that stuff in my house, in my yard? And here's what he posted. The mind is fickle and feelings are fleeting, like the changing light and shadows playing upon a mountain range. Better to rest calm and clear in moment-to-moment conscious awareness and act as needed from that spacious clarity and objective detachment. Now, that was a quote from him, Lama Surya Das. Now, what I took from that was, all we got is the now. And I'll talk to you about this moment, this breath, only breath. And how can you go to that moment? Just take a breath and pause and go, oh, that's a moment. Now, what am I thinking? Am I seeing my brother's spirit? And you think of him as spirit, and then go about your day. And then another time you picture your breath, you feel your breath. And that's a way to stop, go, be in the moment, and see the real Christ self, yourself and your brothers. But anyway, so what I took from that quote was, I said, I almost chant this as I walk morning and evening. I go, each moment to moment, I want to have conscious awareness and detachment on these fleeting forms. And then when I'm walking, I'm thinking moment to moment, and then that makes me pause, and I think about that mailbox is floating. That tree is really floating. It's an image projected on the ClearLight God Mind. It's not secure like that. There's no gravity. This is all a sleight of hand. These are all tricks. This stuff are images. That's why these images can come and go. They're floating on ClearLight Mind. Luminous ClearLight Mind. So, but it's practice. So I'm out there practicing. I'm practicing inside my house. And you know that movie Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy was waking up and she was dreaming, and in the tornado, the house was whirling in the tornado. Remember that scene? Well, that's what I picture. It's like no gravity. The house is whirling. It's just, it's floating. Everything's floating, like the earth, the stars. They're floating. But anyway, so I would practice that as I walked. And then I looked up moment to moment in the course, lesson 241, Jesus says, this holy instant is salvation come. This holy instant, salvation come, is salvation come. Well, in that second, I went from seeing the floating tree or the floating mailbox, I looked at the clear light of God mind. My salvation and my brother's salvation was based on that holy instant is salvation come. I chose to see the clear light behind the floating mailbox. Now, it doesn't have to float, but see, I'm wanting to see all things as coming and going, impermanent. Because when they're fixed like that, inside my house or in my yard, that dam, I think of them as permanent. And it's harder to see them as an image that I made up. Anyway, then in lesson 303, Jesus says, this instant is the only time there is. This instant. So how do you get to the instant? Just stop, go to the breath, that breath, the only breath, that moment. And how am I thinking? What am I thinking about? It's called mindfulness. What am I thinking? You choose to think holy thoughts. Oh yeah, we think because we see something, then it's real. Now, that's Jesus's wonderful paragraph about because the thoughts we think, and I copied that because that's a big one. Oh, wait, I'll run into that. I know that's here. Thoughts, I think appear as images. If I don't see them as nothing. I think them, so I think I see them. It's called image making. Well, we'll run into it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Woohoo! Workbook, lesson 15. Paragraph 1. It's because the thoughts you think appear as images that you do not recognize them as nothing. You think them, so you think you see them. This is how seeing was made. This is the function you have given your body's eyes. It is not seeing, it is image making. It takes the place of seeing, replacing vision with illusions. Now, I know this is a lot to absorb all at once. I'm just trying to just do the best you can. And we don't want to run around out there saying everything's an illusion, it's all false. You got to remember to add on to that everything's immortal spirit, one with God. Because if you walk around saying everything's false, you will get depressed because there's only one mind, and what you think and talk about, just think it, you don't even have to say it, goes right into that unconscious mind, and it believes what you're thinking and saying is about you. And you will get depressed. You think you're alone. There's nobody there. I'm all alone. That's why we add the part about we're a mortal spirit. But here is about, I read that. Oh, in chapter, So then I thought back on, because these are projections, I thought back on the original lessons in the course, which are so powerful and just like, what are you talking about, Jesus? I mean, really, nothing I see in this room, this is lesson one, on this street, from this window, in this place means anything. Well, because it's not really there. We gave everything the meaning it has. We labeled it a fork, but it's not even there. We're using it. But anyway, I'm upset because I see something that is not there. That's lesson 6. Oh my goodness. My thoughts do not mean anything. They are not your real thoughts. The presence of these thoughts mean you are not thinking. Your mind is really blank. To recognize this is to recognize nothingness. When you think you see as such, it is the prerequisite for vision. And see, once in a while, I'm just asking, just pause and think about, there's nothing out there, that chair's not there, or even if it's a chair that's there, that image is a projected image from the unconscious mind that's floating on God mind. So you don't run into the chair, but it's, oh my, this Jesus, is that something? My thoughts don't mean anything. They are not your real thoughts. See, now your real thoughts are that the love that you are, the holiness that you are, the Christ Buddha self that you are, and that your brother is, and how you're thinking about your brother. Those are your real thoughts. All these other millions of thoughts, these are just, our mind's really blank when we're thinking anything but holy thoughts. We're going nowhere, doing nothing. That's one thing that came to me when I was out walking one time. I walked in place, and I said to myself, I'm going nowhere, doing nothing. And I went right to my mind and went, oh, there's only that great ray light. That's God light. And see, you go to that light, even though you don't see it, it's there. It is there. You are the light of the world. That's what Jesus says in the Course. But because it's an invisible light, although when you meditate, you'll see all those colors of the chakra. And that's a good thing, because then you see some colors. Then you start to realize those colors really are light in motion. It's light, your spirit. And then it's nice, because then you're seeing that you're colored lights. You're a rainbow. You're all these beautiful lights. But really, ultimately, there's only ClearLight God Mind that all this stuff got projected onto. Let's see what else I thought. My thoughts are images that I have made. Did I say that one? That's lesson 15. Your mind is really blank is lesson 10. And then here's lesson 30. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. Now, see, some people take that a little, you can take it any way. It has so many interpretations. But when we wake up, these are just false images. And now sometimes, but meantime, and even now, the great ray comes straight down the middle of us, and we see that light radiating out every cell. Okay, we're using that light to heal our mind and heal any physical ailments. Wherever you want to heal, that light can do it. You know, you just see that light radiate out that form. And that's because God is in everything I see, because God is in my mind. Because in our mind, we projected all these images. That's why then God can be in them. But doesn't mean God projected these images. He didn't. Our egoic mind projected them. And meantime, then in all these things, I'll go, you know, I'm not a body, I am free, from still as God created me. That's a real standby. That's lesson 199. We're free because we're immortal spirit. You all know that, in union with God mind. Then I found a couple other paragraphs, which, because I've seen chapter 19 that I'll read in ID section 4, C.5. You have another dedication that would keep the body incorruptible and perfect as long as it is useful for your holy purpose. The body no more dies than it can feel. It does nothing. I mean, of itself is neither corruptible nor incorruptible. I'm not kidding you. Jesus says it is nothing. He's talking about the body. It is the result of a tiny mad idea of corruption that can be corrected. For God has answered this insane idea with his own, an answer which left him not, and therefore brings the Creator to the awareness of every mind which heard his answer and accepted it. And of course, that's the Holy Spirit. He gave us an answer when we seem to go into darkness and separation, even though that's a false, that's an illusion, hallucination. We've never left God's mind. We're safe at home in heaven, dreaming a dream of exile, but perfectly capable of awakening. It's like sleeping in your bed at night. You know, at night, you're sleeping in your bed. You might have a dream. You wake up in the morning, you kind of remember that dream, but you tell yourself, oh, that was just a dream. And you throw your legs over the side of the bed and up you come. That was just a dream. You just overlooked it, right? But Jesus tells us in the Course, we got a daytime dream. Now, the daytime dream's harder to forgive or overlook, because picture a dream at night. Those are just images in the mind. But who's seeing that dream there at night? It's your mind. Your eyes are not open. It's these thoughts and images of worldly events are happening in your mind that we're mentally looking at. But we accept that as a nighttime dream, folks. But the problem with the daytime dream are these darn projections. That's the trick, the sleight of hand that ego did, the mirror, taking those thoughts in our mind and taking the mirror and projecting them out here. That makes them seem, and like he said, projection gives it all the meaning that it has. For it is the projection that gives the nothing, he has nothing in quotes, all the meaning that it holds, because it's just projected there. It's sitting right out there in front of us. My laptop's right here. I then start interpreting and judging. Oh yeah, my laptop. There's my laptop. This size. These souls are on the screen. Because it's projected there, I start with my egoic mind to immediately analyze it, describe it, define it, sort it, you know, all that stuff. But simply because it's there is the start of all this, the projection. So we're by you doing the lessons in the Course and whatever other truths you're practicing and meditating daily, what's happening, you're bringing your mind under control from where you're not believing all these projections that are out there, and you're believing and remembering these projections, Jesus says, came from within the mind. He says it here, from within the mind. Okay, I'm going to read. Ooh, it might be right here on this. Here, they are the means by which the outside world projected from within. So you're just talking to yourself. That's what the Course does. You're reasoning with yourself. These are projections from within the mind. And you're going back and back and back into your Christ mind, Buddha mind, when you meditate, and then you can see that clear light of God mind. And then you see visions. You'll have your visions of colors or whatever will be your path, solar system, all the stuff. But this is a mirage, you know, like on the desert, when somebody's not had enough water, there's a desert. They start hallucinating. There's a mirage. Images start showing up out of the sand. Mirages show up. Well, we're hallucinating. The mind is so fearful. It's such fear that ego has chattered all these thoughts that God is vengeful, doesn't like it that you left heaven, you're in deep trouble, you're guilty, and then put all this unconscious guilt in the unconscious mind that God's after you, a vengeful God. That's the deep-seated fear of God that you aren't aware of because it's in the unconscious mind, but it feeds the fear that we have of our brothers or our life or whatever. It's just that's percolating down there and fuels, it filters and it colors so many things in our life. As you well know, this is really a psychological course, this Course in Miracles, but it can, like a sitcom, picture that. Picture it's a sitcom or a movie, a dream, an hallucination, an illusion. These are, now, Jesus didn't use the word mirage or sitcom, or I don't think movie. He used dream, illusion, fantasy, hallucination. See, that's what you're waking up, and it's a slow process. You don't just jump to the light because that's fearful. You're going at your own pace. I'm here just describing ways to possibly look at things that might help you let things come and go, not have attachment or aversion. That's what I'm trying to do. Based on how I feel, I can recognize pretty quickly now that I've attached to something. I want it. I want something, you know. And it goes beyond, you know, what I'm going to eat for dinner. It goes to like some more emotional part. Then I go, oh, wait a minute. That's judgment. That's ego. I'm just fixing this for dinner. And I'm watching Glenda do it. Glenda's an image in my dream. Oh, but anyway, back to that bed. I forgot. So you throw your feet off the bed and you stand up and you're looking out in your bedroom. Then that's when you can also practice on your dresser, your lamp, the floor, you got a TV in there, whatever's in there, the rug, anything that's there. Each little item, these are projections from the egoic mind. I'm going to look past them to the clear light of God mind. My Christ mind is right here with that God mind. It's all practice, and it builds on itself, where ultimately when there are these horrific things that happen in the cards that were dealt, we're not blithering fools. We're not angry. We're not screaming. There's a calmness I never would have thought would have happened. There just was a calmness, because man, in meditation, it's calm. It's still. See, in one of the last few weeks, I found those sentences where Jesus says, in stillness, your creator lives. That's why you want to meditate. You're developing a stillness. And then for you to recognize that's where my creator lives, and in that God light or Tao, whatever you want to call it, living force, is everything, right there in that light. But in the illusion, we're having a dream at night, and then a dream during the daytime. He says we're just doing serial dreams, but that's what you're waking up from, or you wouldn't be listening to me, because you'd go, this is crazy. This is not what they're teaching at my Sunday school group or at the Sunday school group. And see, but all that is good too, because picture each person, Holy Spirit takes them wherever the heck they are. And that's perfect. It takes them at their pace, wherever they are, to help them get to the point finally for them to remember. The whole purpose of the Course in Miracles is to remember what you are, what God is, and what your brother is. And then you'll remember that you're immortal spirit. And once you wake up and remember that, then there's no need to reincarnate back into another body, because we're here now experiencing we're a body. We think we're a body, we're experiencing we're a body, so we're waking up that we're from the illusion that we're a body. Never put our body in harm's way, though. I keep it clean, I feed it, we have fun, I do fun things, enjoy life, but yet I'm practicing course truths as soon as I can remember to, because, you know, it's just part of it. You enjoy doing whatever you're doing, and then I'll come back on, oh yeah, that's Glenda's figure doing that. What fun. Now let's see, any questions or thoughts here, and I'm going to see if I found some quote where I didn't. Oh, love looks on itself. Don't you love that phrase? That's in chapter 19, section 4, B7. And that happens from cause of a holy relationship. Truth proclaims the truth and love looks on itself. So when you're in your mind meditating and you're seeing that light or thinking about that invisible light, that is love. Love is looking on love itself. Love is there and it's looking on you, your Christ self, your Buddha self. It's just love. It's right. Love looks upon itself. I lay this down. And love looks on itself. Now that holy relationship is the relationship you have with your brother, where you're thinking of him as spirit, or when you settle in your mind, when you meditate and go to that light and think of God, your creator, that's a holy relationship, because that's the Father with the Son. That's a holy relationship. And in both instances, love is looking upon itself, because in reality, we're removing blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. That's what you are also. Love, light. This light's filled with love. So now, Shaban is, can we dispense with the need to reincarnate? Yes. How you can dispense with the need to reincarnate is to awaken from the dream and open your heart to have that love for everything. And that will stop. Then you remember you are spirit, immortal spirit. Then you're not experiencing your body, really. You're experiencing this spirit life, L-I-F-E. You're living a spirit life. I'm not kidding. You're looking at everything differently. And so you're not attached to the body and want to come back as a body. You're spirit. Because then when death occurs, you go to the light and you stay with the light. Now, in these books I'm reading about Preparing to Die by Andrew Holacek and the Tibetan book of Living and Dying by Sogyal Rinpoche, they talk about there's different realms that a form can incarnate into. And I talked about that last week or the week before, that it's really important to think about what are my last thoughts going to be. And how you know that is, what are you thinking about now? What are you trying to practice now? And when I'm out walking, I chant like Om Mani Padme Hum, Om O-M Mani M-A-N-I Padme P-A-D-M-E Hum H-U-M. It's a very powerful mantra, Buddhist mantra that contains all kinds of prayers and holiness and light. So when you're walking around, or like what you do during the day, many of us, you still work or you're helping family members, just as often as you can, you're thinking about the real world, which is spirit, love. And then, though, whatever you're thinking about now, that's what you think. That's going to show what you'll think about if you died, right? Tomorrow or whatever it would be. That's what your mind's focused on. Now picture if other people's minds are just focused on just politics, just work, they're not thinking any holy thoughts. They're coming back as a body in any one of these other realms. And it's quite extensive what these Buddhists have learned over thousands of years. I mean, these people know the mind, the shenanigans of egoic mind, and how to undo it, how to unlearn it, where you can live in spirit and awaken from the dream. They call it like a dream. They will call it illusion, fantasy, hallucination. But Jesus comes right out and says it's a dream. Like, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, merrily, merrily. Life is but a dream. I mean, people have known this stuff for many years back, but thank God we got A Course in Miracles in our lifetime to teach us Jesus's true truths, although Dzogchen or Buddhism's been around thousands of years. Now, any other thoughts, or anybody want to have a question or something they want to put during the recording or on any other, oh, 2 chats. Let's see what we got here. Okay, Siobhan, did I get it about the known dispense with reincarnating again? Oh, and Gary Renard has a book. Oh, did I leave it over there? It's called Your Immortal Reality. Breaking, oh, here it is. How to break the cycle of birth and death. I mean, these A Course in Miracles students on Facebook that doesn't think reincarnation is so, well, they still can think that, but Gary Renard says, no, just like Buddhism. We think we're a body, coming back as a body, or not. But that's a great book to read, besides doing all these, well, first, the Course truths, but also meditating and turning your day over to the Holy Spirit. Okay, any other thoughts you all want to? Oh, yes. Okay, Corrine, you're being recorded. So
when you were talking about sort of the TV floating on the shimmering light, right? That's kind of what you're saying.
Yep.
Well, long ago I figured out that, you know, we're just a bunch of cells that decided to, like a bunch of electrons that decided to hang out together. So there's all this space. So it's even possible to say you're not even solid and view the everything with shimmering light, period, right? That could be a thing.
That's
you could
true.
go all the way down to the space of the cell, of the atom, the whatever.
Well, very good, Corrine, because quantum physicists say that. And they won't, some of them won't say it publicly because they'll lose funding for their grants. But it's proven there's just space and light. There's no form really here. But it's like a hologram.
Right.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Thank you.
It looks solid. Very well put. Science has proven this. But I'm trying to just give some practical ways. Think about that too, that it's vibrating light. Yes, that's, but also it's images in our mind that are just floating on the light. Besides that the light's radiating through it, they just floats on the light. They're just coming and going because they're impermanent. Because if they were permanent, they'd never change. But of course, our TV right in our home, it does give out once in a while, but we forget that when we're looking at it. Well, that's a solid form. Okay, any other question or thought before I stop the recording?
Siobhan had a question on the chat, but I don't know if you have to answer it right now.
Oh, Preparing to Die. Is that a book? Yeah. Hold on, I'll get the book. Yes. And we'll do pick 3 people and do advanced forgiveness. Just a second. Okay, it's called, let me turn this light off. Preparing to Die by Andrew Holacek. AndrewHolecek. And
show us the top again.
Say again.
Show us the top again. There you go. Thank you.
This book could be 10 books in one. It actually quotes that Tibetan book of Living and Dying that's sold 3 million copies, which condenses all kinds of thousands of years of truths of Buddhism. But yeah, it brings this to a practical. Oh, and what in the Preparing to Die, it's talking about the mind. What's the mind? Preparing the mind. And even in, like, you have your living will and your power of attorney and all those things, you also want to have written down about your body not being disturbed for 30 minutes or an hour after you pass, because there's the physical gross body that dies, but then there's a subtle body, meaning this energy or winds of spirit that follows along the chakras. Then there's a very subtle body that's the wind and spirit that's in the mind. These three things die at varying time frames. They got this all figured out. And what people say or do around your body, but more than that, what your body's thinking before, if you're able to prepare to die, these truths that you're studying here or chants and prayers, very, very powerful, because you're preparing your mind and to be this calm mind. Because as you pass, the mind they say goes directly to the luminosity of God, but the light is so bright that it scares some people, and then they divert off in terror to these dark images, and the dark images follow into body realms, blah, blah, blah. That's why you can become enlightened at the point of death if you go to the light there, they say. But anyway, that's in that. I'm not doing real good at that, but Preparing to Die has a really excellent book. Okay, cool. Because in essence, we're all, we're born and then we die. And some of us live longer than others in the illusion. For example, I have a niece that she passed at 45 years old and left 4 children, 3 years old, 4 years old to 18. So thank your lucky stars, your karma, your whatever you've done, that you're here now. So don't waste this time, this human form, that you can reason with your mind and come to these truths. Because picture animals, I'm sure Holy Spirit works with them, but how difficult would that be? Really. So, but the Preparing to Die book, both those die books says it's a significant deal that you're in the body. That is good karma that you got born into a human body. Yeah, that can reason with itself. But anyway, any other questions or thoughts before I shut down recording? Okay. Oh, we're going to pick 3 people and practice advanced forgiveness on them. And remember, that means you simply just silently say all of it, ALL of it, or you say you are spirit, whole, pure, and innocent, always forgiven and released, to 3 people on the screen. And then to yourself, say, I am either all of it, or I am immortal spirit. This body is a false image and has nothing to do with what I am. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you, everyone. Holy Son of God Francis, Holy Son of God Edward, Holy Son of God Leon, Holy Son of God Nance, Holy Son of God Angela, Holy Son of God Karine, Holy Son of God Debbie, Holy Son of God Shaban, Holy Son of God Julia, and I forget Barbara was here. Holy Son of God Barbara. Thank you for coming out tonight. I appreciate it. All right.